Speaking of Georgia and quarterbacks, JT Daniels has been in the transfer portal for quite some time. Recently, it hit me, okay, Mark, you got to produce a video, kind of survey the landscape, figure out where he's headed, make your prediction. This one I would not have made. So it's being reported here in the last 8 or 9 hours. I don't know if you've seen this, that JT Daniels is visiting Oregon State. Oregon State.
I like it. I mean, I from my perspective, if I'm JT Daniels, you got to believe that he's disappointed with how his career has shown up at this point. He has had high points and has had low points, has had maybe some situations where he didn't feel like he got the right opportunity to be successful. Maybe not with the best quarterback coaches as head coaches, not necessarily position coaches. Jonathan Smith is a guy who, if I was a quarterback, I'd want to be close with him. I think that you're going to have, with Jonathan Smith, I think you're going to have a pretty decent offensive line every year. They might not be the best in the conference, but they'll be steady, pretty consistent throughout their time. I think you'll have a pretty solid running game. You've seen that. You've seen them have some serious runners. And that's the quarterback's best friend. I think they've always had the opportunity to bring in guys maybe later in their career through transfers and had success. Jonathan Smith saw that during his time when he was a player. But I think Jonathan Smith has the head coach of the mindset of a quarterback. And JT Daniels, I think, could be really good at Oregon State, put some good film on tape and try to get to the next level, because these guys are all chasing it. And I heard maybe a couple other schools that were on that list that didn't really impress me that much. The guy, because of his time out on the West Coast, might have seen something. You know, I think that Jonathan Smith's a pretty good recruiter, and I think that they are actually a type of team that could use the transfer portal better than a team like Oregon. And maybe not get the highest end talent, but get guys who have already been somewhere. They've already been in the weight room somewhere. They're just looking for a different start, fresh opportunity. And Jonathan Smith could really build something at Oregon State. He's a sleeper team right now. And I do think that looking forward, the next couple 3 years, they trend up big time.
And just in looking at the profile of the conference and what people know across the nation, JT Daniels is probably one of the 15 to 20 most popular names in college football as a player, just because of him playing at USC and then going to Georgia. He started for Georgia before he got hurt. He was the starting quarterback at Georgia for a team that eventually won the national title game. He was the starting quarterback in the opener against Clemson. He's probably one of the, again, 20 most popular names in the sport. And if he is now playing in the Pac-12 and Lincoln Riley's coaching in the Pac-12, it just, the 1 year upgrade of just at least recognizable names coming to the Pac-12 is good for the conference.
Oh, we need it. We need it. We've got a drought out here in the West. We're in like a 40-year drought. We're in like a good 5-year, 6-year drought. It feels like, from national relevance. And, we need it. We need USC to come back. We need USC to be a top 10 team. And if you're an Oregon Duck fan, you want USC to be a top 10 team, then you want to beat USC, either in the Pac-12 championship or in the regular season, or in both. But USC has to be good to get this conference above board. You want Washington better. You want that rival to be just absolutely hot. You want Oregon State to be better. I've always said that I want Oregon State, that last game, I want that to be the biggest game of the year, because why shouldn't it be? It's the last game. It's the rivalry game. The year's been, Oregon State's been good and Oregon's been good. It's out of control how fun that game's been. And this conference needs it. I think UCLA is the one I think that has something going as well. They made a little bit of noise last year. Obviously, the LSU team was not what we thought it was going to be, and it was weird circumstances. But they got one of the only other wins out of the Pac-12 non-conference. Pac-12 did not do well. Pac-12 hasn't won a bowl game since Oregon beat Wisconsin. So, Pac-12's got to start doing something. And if it starts in the offseason, fine by me. It just needs to do something, because I think everybody needs to have the prestige of the conference gone back up to where it should be. I do think it's a prestigious conference. It's a difficult conference to go through. There's in every sport, there's really good competition out here. That's why Bill Walton calls it the Conference of Champions. I mean, this is a serious deal out here, and it's not easy. But there's years where it feels like, what are we doing? You get swept in the bowls 2 years in a row. That's terribly disappointing. So there's something's got to change.
The conference does own the most sports championships, national championships, and I don't believe it's even close.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of history out here. There's a lot of really good success out here. I see on the screen here the Joseph Davidson. Is this talk about Oregon penalty problems? I think the penalties were an absolute killer last year. Not to blame everything on the refs, whatever, but I mean, wow, they had so many plays where make a great play in the red zone and pull it back. Now you're out of the red zone. Now you lose it on third down, and all of a sudden, now you got to kick a field goal. I mean, just absolute momentum killers. Not to mention the fact that in the Stanford game, one of the biggest losses of the whole season, the last play is a flag that lets them have an extra untimed down, and we know what happened there. So I agree. I think penalties are kind of a tsunami effect, and once they start going, it feels like there's a momentum thing, and it's hard to stop them. And just it's going to happen, whether it's a hold or it's a false start. I mean, the defense at the end of the year was offsides multiple times. They called Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, in almost consecutive plays offsides, like wasn't even lined up correctly. So there's some attention to detail that you got to work on.
And just to go back to a point that I was making a second ago about some cachet coming to the Pac-12 in Lincoln Riley and JT Daniels, Bo Nix would be on that list as well. And again, for anyone that's going to make a comment, and typically some of these comments get misconstrued and I get all sorts of feedback, I'm not talking about one of the top 20 players in the country. I'm talking about if you surveyed college football fans, just what names do they recognize? I guarantee Bo Nix and JT Daniels are two of the top 20 player names that people recognize because they play quarterback and they've been in the SEC for a few years. They just are. And Bo Nix also coming to the Pac-12. So if he can do some good things, just brings attention. It's just a recognizable name.
I would agree. And I think that the average football fan really doesn't get a chance to know these players very well when they're not there that long, or they don't get a chance that long. A lot of these guys have had pretty long careers, and then add COVID to it, and you get that extra year. So these guys have a unique opportunity. And with NIL, these guys are also looking for that. It's not just about playing time now. It's not just about how good the girls look on campus, or how, whatever the other options are. They're looking for the handout too. They're looking to see what kind of money am I able to generate here. So that's another aspect when it looks to the transfer portal.